Welcome to the world of Joe Torre, manager of the New York Yankees and winner of 3 consecutive world championships. How does he do it? We wanted to find out, and we discovered some secrets about him, stories of fear and abuse that have shaped Joe Torre and helped make him the most successful baseball manager of his generation.
Managers are lonely people.
Why are managers lonely people?
Well, because you really can't blame anybody but yourself if you lose. I mean, that's part of it. Wow. You carry a lot of baggage.
Baggage that includes an 80-year-old Yankee reputation, the high expectations of a new season, and pressure that starts in spring training and is played out over a 7-month series of 162 games, plus the playoffs and the World Series.
When people say, boy, I bet that Subway Series was fun. No, it wasn't fun. It's torture while it's going on because it's war. Because it's...
But you remember what Patton said?
Yeah.
I love it. It's war.
Well, you love it. I mean, you love that your stomach hurts. You love all that stuff.
I'm in the middle of the biggest game in town.
I understand, but it's still torture, even though you wouldn't trade that torture for anything.
Exactly.
It's the fire. You need to win or lose.
Yeah.
The best part of baseball is winning. The next best is losing, because you have the chance to win.
Torre has done a lot of winning with the Yankees despite all that torture. He's done it with a huge payroll that has afforded some of the best talent in the game, like shortstop Derek Jeter, who just signed a contract worth $189 million.
Calls you Mr. Torre?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't bother me, but my wife's a lot younger than I am. He calls her Mrs. Torre. She feels old.
Joe Torre seems to have a knack for understanding his players and bringing out the best in them, which isn't always easy. Consider the case of Chuck Knobloch, his second baseman, the only second baseman in baseball who can't make a throw to first. A lot of managers might bench him or dump him, but not Torre. He wants to help him out of what appears to be a mysterious psychological problem.
And you watch him out here taking ground balls while we're taking batting practice, Charlie, and he'll throw every one right there, right on the money. And it's obviously something that's an emotional thing at this point.
He's shorter than I thought he was.
Don't let him hear you say that.
Chuck Knobloch's first chance.
Torre's solution was to move Knobloch to left field, and so far it's working. Like a loyal father, he works with his players who need help and sticks up for the ones who get into trouble, like outfielder Darryl Strawberry, who's undergone a long battle with drug addiction and cancer. Torre talks about his players like they are his own kids.
You still have to get in the heads of the kids.
You have to see it from their perspective.
You have to feel for them, put yourself in their body. Years ago, you used to tell the kids growing up, your children, do this. Why? Because I told you so. Well, as a manager, you say the same thing. You do this. Why? Because I'm the manager and I told you to do it. They still don't know why they should do it. So I think in raising children and managing, that you have to explain why you want this done.
Joe Torre's philosophy about players and children takes on a certain irony once you learn about his own childhood. He was raised in Brooklyn, the youngest of 5 kids. This gentleman, who now treats his players like his children, had a father who was not gentle. Joe Sr., in fact, was terrifying and abusive.
And I was deathly afraid of my dad growing up because he was a policeman and he used to abuse my mom. And I tried to stay out of the house during his waking hours.
His older brother, Frank, remembers it vividly.
My father, not physically, but mentally beat him up pretty good.
Maybe physically, too.
Well, not so much. He witnessed my mother being abused physically. And I think that probably was worse than him getting wrapped around them.
Why did your father not like her?
Well, it's the old Italian fashion, this is my castle and I'm the king, and the fact that he didn't want to have any more children was a liability against my brother.
Joe's sister Ray, who still lives in the Brooklyn house where he grew up, credits their mother for holding the family together.
She put up with a lot more than she should have from my father, for our sake, I think.
This is an interesting spot right here. I remember this vividly as a 10 or 11-year-old kid. Ray was protecting my mom because my dad was abusive to her. And she had this knife in her hand because of my dad threatening my mom. And he says, put the knife down. And she says, you get out of this house, or whatever she was saying to him. And I remember he went to this drawer where his revolver was. And he started going to that drawer, and I remember grabbing the knife away from my sister and putting it on the table.
After that, the older Torre kids kicked their father out of the house. He never came back and died in 1975.
Things like this shape who you are.
Yes.
There was a lot of yelling that my dad would do in the house. And to this day, I hate confrontational stuff. I mean, I have to do it in my line of business, but I try to do it on a more calm level. Loud noises really set me off and frighten me.
Joe Torre found an escape in baseball and looked up to his brother Frank, who played in the big leagues. Joe had a celebrated career of his own as a catcher with the Milwaukee Braves. He was the National League's most valuable player in 1971, but it is his career with the Yankees that has turned him into a hero. It's impossible for him to visit the old neighborhood without stopping traffic.
Do you live with baseball every day?
I do live with baseball. People don't let you forget it, thank goodness. I mean, people are so nice. Sure.
See?
I got something. I just happen to have a pen with me,
Oh,
too.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
I love your team.
I love your hat.
Thank you. You too.
That's the reason you think of baseball every day.
Exactly. There's always somebody every day who sees you and they think about the game.
Charlie, I've signed more autographs in the 5 years I've been here than in the rest of my career combined.
He was probably the guy least likely to make it in New York. He'd been fired from 3 other managing jobs before Yankee owner George Steinbrenner found him working as a baseball announcer. Steinbrenner's temper is legendary, but it doesn't seem to faze Joe Torre.
George Steinbrenner's the boss. And yeah, Joe Torre has an ego, but I also have respect for the people I work for. And you can't pick and choose the part of George Steinbrenner you want and the part you want to throw away. When you accept the job here, you accept the whole package.
You came here and they said, clueless Joe. He doesn't have a clue.
Well, I think the clueless Joe came from the point of why would you expose yourself to this? The one thing that stuck out for me, Charlie, was the fact I have a chance to win. And that was the one thing that was missing from completing my career.
It's not missing anymore. In all, he's won 4 World Series under difficult circumstances. His brother Frank underwent a heart transplant during the 1996 World Series, and Torre himself had a health scare 2 years ago when he was diagnosed and treated for prostate cancer.
I didn't realize how popular it was until people start whispering in my ear, you know what, I've had it too.
What did it change about you, about your life,
Well,
about...
I think it changed in the way I lived my life as far as appreciating every single day, where I was looking to make plans here and do this and think down the road too far. I find myself enjoying life more now probably than I did a few years ago because I'm living in the present.
All the years he has given to baseball have taken a toll. 2 failed marriages, long absences from his 3 older children. Now he rushes home to be with his wife, Allie, and their young daughter, Andrea.
The second part of my life really started in December of '95 when Andrea was born. And I have made more time for her than I have all my other children. Thank goodness I'm close to my other children now. But I was too busy with myself at that time.
The boy from Brooklyn who feared his father now cares most about his own family. At the end of the last World Series, the first thing he did was look for his wife and daughter.
Congratulations on world champions again.
His wife wants him to retire, but at 60, Joe Torre isn't ready to leave the sweet torture that is baseball.
Is there something magical about a four-peat, repeating the World Series win 4 times in a row?
You're darn right. The only thing that comes to mind, and then if you start thinking about it, Charlie, you get a little anxious. 1949, 1950, 51, 52, 53. The New York Yankees won the World Series 5 straight years. Casey Stengel was the manager. I don't have goals like this, but when you've won 3 in a row, I'm not going to walk away just in case we happen to win.